If you have a possessed vehicle and you exorcise the demon from that vehicle, does it take up residence in a different vehicle? And if so, can that demon cause your temperature to go ham without actually causing your temperature to go ham? I don't know. These are the questions of our lives. What are the humans doing?
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, speaking fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're worth my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior, inferior. You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead of say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant modern kingdom for the taking. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chilling with Sasquatch. We have your eponymous co-host over here, Mr. Jake Johnson.
Hello.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm pretty spiffy, man. Got me a ghost in my car, but I've just about exorcised all them demons. I think I know where the problems are. And you're right. It's probably a bad ground.
It could be either a bad ground or a bad operator.
Well, I haven't been operating it long enough to claim possession of the damages it has accrued. In fact, so far I have taken the grill out, replaced all of the little broken bits in it, plastic welded all that crap together and put it back together and put it back into the vehicle. So all of that's back where it should be. I just got one bit of it a little too tight and it looks even sadder than it did before I did this. It just
That's usually
like,
how I fix a thing.
it's just cosmetic. Everything, all the real problems are cosmetic and electronic. So I'm thinking maybe when that radio got put in, something got schwarbled up because I can fiddle with the radio and change my temperature readings.
That sounds like a problem. It's not how it's supposed to work.
Let me tell you what I did this afternoon. I took that thing from my house in middle of town out to Davisboro, busted a left, went all the way to Deep Step, busted a left, went all the way back to the house. And the only time it ever glitched at all was when I was applying the brake directly, when I turned on my headlights, and when I was rolling up or down a window. So I got some kind of back feed going on in there somewhere.
For those of you that are not in the know, Deep Step is not a hip hop dance. It's a little town in Georgia. So when he's rolling up in Deep Step, he's not talking about slide to the left.
No, if you slide to the left, you're already out of Deep Step. This place, I'm not even sure it actually has a post office anymore.
Probably not.
I'm pretty sure they all
sign on the side of the road and say, "Oh, there's Deep Step."
Right? No, I'm pretty sure that the postmaster of this town delivers to Miss Sue, and Miss Sue takes the mail to whoever it belongs to. They ain't, what, 800 people out there, maybe?
Maybe.
Half of them don't even have addresses, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like old Mo's out there. Old black man been living out there since the dawn of time, as far as anybody can determine. Had a whole herd of goats his whole life, and he runs them up and down Highway 15 out there, all random as hell. There might be 70 goats crossing the road. You don't know. You got to watch out.
That's the dude whose directions to his house are, keep on going till you see the tree and make left.
Yeah, you'll know the tree, but you'll know it. I mean, I understand that it doesn't seem like a very, but you'll know this tree. You'll be riding along a witch tree, and then you'll see, that tree. Holy shit, that's impossible. Your Aunt Audrey lives in some place called Deep Step, not in Georgia, I'm sure. No way.
Wow.
That can't be. Could be. I was at the Grammys with Brandy. Did you see me on TV?
Deep Step.
Wait a second. All right. No, we're going to let that one go. You might have to email me later because that's a little creepy. That would be just weird. I mean, because I come from a very small town, a very, very small town. And this is a very, 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 very small town, not far from my very, very small town.
It's a small world after all.
There might have been 10,000 people lived in Deep Step since the dawn of time. So, like, maybe. I got my doubts on that.
Deep Step.
All right, so the first subject we have coming up tonight is probably going to completely crash my computer.
No.
Of course, we've got Captain Curmudgeon. You want to listen to some of him? You've been keeping up with him. I think you'll like this one. Function.
Awesome Pride Month so far, hasn't it? And it just seems to get better and better each time we reconvene, so why not keep talking about it? Especially when the focus, prudence, and decency are routing the enemy on all fronts, dismantling the sex pervert industrial complex brick by insipid brick, and consigning it to the dustbin of history's discredited tyrannies, where it so richly deserves to reside for all time and eternity. It seems as if each passing day brings more encouraging news. In fact, just today, at the time of this recording, we've seen 4 or 5 major national brands take down their dumb rainbow-themed corporate social media logo that they all obligatorily put up on the first every year, and they never had to worry about widespread public backlash, at least not until now, because hell, when you can make people on the left totally forget about their own stated principles just by rainbowizing your dumb corporate logo, I guess you kind of have to do it if people are going to be that damned gullible and unprincipled, right? Oh, I used to detest big multinational corporations, but IBM and Microsoft have rainbow logos now, so I guess I really love them after all. You had me at free abortions and rainbow logos, guys. That's all it took for me to stop. It used to bother me so very much, but not that way anymore so much. Not now that the silent majority has decided that the tipping point has been well and truly reached, and they've had just about enough of being told to celebrate other people's sex lives. And they've really, really had enough of weird, creepy sex perverts preying on their children, and they're willing to show it by no longer giving their money to people who hate them and spit on their beliefs and their values, which, again, are the values of prudence and decency, which apparently are exclusively right-wing values now, at least if you believe what the Democrats and the fake news media performance artists, but I repeat myself, are saying. We keep hearing about right-wing backlash and right-wing this and right-wing that and the other thing because apparently that is the false dichotomy they have decided to hang their hats on. You either 100% sparkly heart every weird, creepy sex fetish and every fat, hairy male child molester in a dress, and you're totally on board with gay porn and drag queens in elementary school, or you are a right-wing extremist. That's all it takes to be a right-wing extremist now, apparently.
Not there was something wrong with me.
In kindergarten. Not being okay with high school teachers giving symposiums on how to please your booty hole. That is all right-wing extremism now. Oh, you didn't hear about that one? I'll give you one guess what state that happened in. With all of the 50 states to choose from, which would be the most...
Did you see that smile? Oh, you didn't hear about that one? Look at this smile. Look at this beautiful smile.
With high school teachers giving symposiums on how to please your booty hole. That is all right-wing extremism now. Oh, you didn't hear about that one?
Look at that. That is actual fiendish delight. I love it.
I'll give you one guess what state that happened in. With all of the 50 states to choose from, which would be the most likely locale for a high school teacher giving a class on pleasing your booty hole? Why, yes, it is California. Excellent.
Ding, 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 ding.
It's not even 150 miles north of here as the crow flies. And if you think I'm going to play the video or the audio, that's not going to happen. And frankly, if you haven't seen this or heard it, I would advise you to just take my word for it, frankly, because if you do see it or hear it, it's going to live inside your brain forever. Now, I know a couple people whose daughters are starting high school in the fall, and I've tried to make sure they understand that if they persist in going the public school route, they have 4 years of stuff like this to look forward to. And if you leave your kids' education in the hands of the California public schools, you're going to be left with a high school graduate who can't read or write or add or subtract or divide or multiply, who thinks American slavery is the only historical event of the last 10,000 years, who has been imparted 0 useful skills of which to speak.
Preach, brother.
All about gay pride and systemic racism and how to buy a butt plug at CVS. Yes, that actually is in the video. In fact, the professional educator here talks at great length and very excitedly about how you only have to go as far as your corner drugstore to buy objects to stick up your bottom hole. She also seems very excited about prostate gland stimulation. Again, this is a public high school health and safety class, and they quite literally are teaching the kids anal sex 101. And I think the worst way we can react to such things is by assuming this is an isolated incident involving one uniquely sick pedophile teacher. Did I say pedophile? Yes. As a matter of fact, I did. Because if the best part of your day, if the thing that gives you joy and excitement and validation is encouraging minor children to bugger one another's bottom holes with foreign objects, yeah, I'm damn well going to call you a pedophile. And I will not feel one single moment of compunction about it either.
Calling out perverts.
Don't happen in isolation. Sick pedophile teachers don't magically emerge out of the woodwork fully formed one day. This woman gave this presentation to this class because it never occurred to her that it wasn't a good and right and proper thing to do. Because this type of stuff is just what goes on now in California public high school health classes. They used to teach you about the birds and the bees. The worst it ever got back in my day was they might have you put a condom on a freaking cucumber. But now they are teaching straight up butt fucking to your 14-year-old child. That is where we are now. And of course, if you take exception to any of this, to the point of going to complain about it at the school board meeting, let's say, well, then you're a damned right-wing extremist, obviously, and Merrick Garland and Chris Wray won't hesitate to put your ass on a domestic terrorism watch list, pal. Only some kind of damn sicko would have a problem with their kid learning sodomy in health class. And this incident only became public knowledge because one of the kids happened to catch it on video. And that's the only reason that the teacher's been put on leave, too. Privately, Do you think that school's administrators have any problem with giving how-to classes on sodomy in health class? Of course they don't. This teacher would not have given that presentation unless she knew the administrators were cool with it. There are presentations like that being given in every high school health class in the state of California today. She did it because stuff like this is considered perfectly normal and middle of the road among the people we used to call childhood educators, but who are now little more than sex coaches for the kiddies. These are people who view it as their professional duty to teach your kids that genital pleasure, or butthole pleasure as the case may be, is the only thing about their lives that will ever matter. That the highest form of moral virtue is to do things that make your private parts feel good. That is what passes for education here in the brave new world of 2023. Is it horrifying that pedophile pervert teachers like this exist and have access to minor children? Yes. Yes, it is. But it's a hell of a lot more horrifying to consider that this woman is the rule and not the exception.
Preach it, brother. And this is why I really like YouTube, is because I can try to be as eloquently spoken as I possibly can be. And I can do a very good job of it when I choose to do so. And I take the time to think about the things that I'm going to say before I speak. But I could just let him say it, and I don't have to bother my pretty little head about it.
Yeah. Plus, I got one thing out of that video.
What was that?
Alabama's going to have to give up its monopoly on wife material.
Would you like to explain for the folks in the cheap seats?
Yeah, I said it. You can marry your sister in Alabama, but she don't know nothing about no butt pleasure.
You know why all the trees in Georgia lead to the west? Because Alabama sucks. If birds fly upside down over Alabama because it ain't worth shit, no.
That's right.
You know how to give a circumcision to a little boy in Alabama?
Mm-mm.
Kick his sister in the teeth.
Kick your sister in the teeth. That's right.
Shall I continue, or shall we go on to Chuck Norris jokes?
Let's hear some Chuck Norris.
Oh, really? You know, when Chuck Norris does push-ups, he doesn't actually push up. He pushes the world down. Inside of Chuck Norris's beard is an even more powerful fist. Chuck Norris tears cure cancer, except he never cried. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." And Chuck Norris said, "Say please."
Well, apparently,
Chuck Norris doesn't own a watch. He tells time what time it is.
Apparently, filleting Michael Jackson also cures cancer. Boy, it got quiet in here.
I don't get it.
Okay.
I thought we were telling jokes. What the fuck, dude? This is why I can't take you to nice places. I mean, good Lord, dude.
That's enough to get me banned right there.
It is. Why are you doing it on my channel, you
Lord, forgive me.
Oh, you bastard. Drag out the street and be tickled or something. I don't know. What's up, Swizmiz? Welcome to the show. That's Danny Trejo, not no, Danny Trejo is so cool that they pay him for his tattoo to strip.
Andrew, nice to see you.
We got a few people here. We got Spoken Auditor. We got Swizmiz. We got Andrew Legloy.
Hello,
We
everyone.
had a few other folks. They left about the time you started telling jokes.
I didn't tell a joke.
Oh,
You got-
that
you
wasn't a
telling
joke. I can do that. I can tell jokes. I have that capability. Danny Trejo, not Chuck Norris. Does his tears cure cancer too? I wonder. All right, so the video I've got for our background is specifically, let's do this right. Let's not cheapen the bit, right? It gets its own blue box, and it is done by an individual named Simon Clark, who has actually quite a double handful of really excellent videos. His work's really good. His sound work is bar none. I mean, but at the same time, he's going at this from a very, I guess, sort of traditional concept. I don't know. You'll see what I mean when we get into it. He's going to take
Swiss Miss.
He's going to take an inconvenient truth point by point.
Somebody needs to.
It's been done a dozen times or so, and a few different people have taken it on, and none of them have been really, really, really convincing.
What, and while this one, ago?
Yeah,
20
I mean,
years
there's a bunch of stuff we can prove were patently false, but as far as like, you'll see what I'm getting at once we get into it. That it was more of a propaganda piece than it was an actual learning thing. It wasn't educational like it was purported to be. It was direct propaganda.
Do you know why they changed the name from global warming to climate change?
Because change can go in either direction, and you can blame it on climate change. But warming, if it's not hotter next year, somebody's going to ask a question. We can't have that.
It kept getting too cold.
Right? Oh, but global warming can cause more extreme winters. Yeah, no, I don't doubt that a bit, but at the same time, I'm a bit curious. How are you going to prove that? I mean,
I want to know one thing. Has anybody asked the question? I'm just spitballing here. Has anybody ever asked the question, what would happen if climate did not change?
That's a good one.
Do you know what would happen? There'd be no more convection. There'd be no more morning dew. There'd be no more evaporation, which is where we get rain from. There'd be no more any of that. And everything would be dead within about 20 years.
Yeah, but I would feed on the corpses of the dead. It'd be fine.
For a little while.
This video is sponsored by Nebula.
Fantastic. I might even watch your fucking commercial.
Inconvenient Truth was released. A documentary feature film directed by Davis Guggenheim, based on a PowerPoint presentation delivered all over the world by once US Vice President Al Gore.
The film went on to be immensely commercially and critically successful, becoming the first documentary feature to win 2 Academy Awards. Somewhat more impressively, the following year, Al Gore also received the Nobel Peace Prize, shared with the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, for his efforts in promoting climate science, notably via the film. At this time, I was in school, and I remember watching the film in a science class. It was one of those magic double periods where the teacher wheeled in the TV, and the entire class just went,
"Good to see you,
yes!" At that impressionable time, I thought the film was very good, and it definitely made an impact on me. Rewatching it now is interesting.
It is.
Especially when you consider that in 2007, the year that Gore received his Nobel Peace Prize, his film was at the center of a court case around misinformation and scientific propaganda in schools.
In 2006, the governments of England, Scotland, and Wales launched initiatives to distribute films about climate change to be shown in secondary schools, one of these films being An Inconvenient Truth, which was accompanied by a guidance note. This distribution was opposed by a group of people who claimed that An Inconvenient Truth contained a multitude of scientific errors and was politically motivated, and thus that the distribution of the film to schools amounted to political indoctrination of children.
This opposition...
Agree or disagree?
I agree. It's full load of scientific inaccuracies.
But I want to go a step further. Beyond the scientific proven scientific inaccuracies of the film, the method by which it was disseminated directly to a given age group of children, and they have increased that age over the past 20 years, implies their attempt to literally indoctrinate a concept into children's minds. They want
to call it propaganda.
I think it was an early expression of praxis.
We're not talking about Klingons tonight.
No. Are you familiar with praxis? Do you know what praxis means?
Yes, this is a little small moon that blew up around Kronos.
You may or may not be correct. I'm not sure on that point. However, praxis is the utilization of a given concept in the basic problems posed to children to educate them in the world. So rather than saying Jenny and Johnny went up the hill with 20 cents each, Jenny came down with 40 cents. How
Jack
many
and
did
Jill went up the hill? Each one had a quarter. Jill came down with 50 cents. You think they went up for water?
Exactly. But the idea is to insert the political premise of some given feature in the politics, like climate change, into your basic math questions. So, you know, how many degrees warmer would the pool be if climate change continued for 20 years, right? That kind of stuff.
If a train left Chicago going 30 miles an hour and a boat left New York going 20 miles an hour, are you gay?
Probably, but then again, I never claimed I wasn't. Yeah, so moving on, as our illustrious mandatory carrier would say. What's up? I'm Zaxxon. No, dude, I've got a totally possessed instrument cluster. I'm almost positive it's the literal field gauge on the instrument cluster. I went riding this afternoon, and I could control what level of temperature it said it had based on how many gizmos I turned on in the cabin. I could peg it out if I turned on the headlights, rolled up the windows, and hit the brakes all at the same time. It's very nerve-wracking.
Got gremlins in that car.
It's just got a bad growl somewhere. It does. It's got to. That's the only thing that could possibly explain it. Okay, so propaganda, absolutely, I agree.
And culminated in the Secretary of State for Education and Skills in the UK's High Court. A judge had to rule, in consultation with the scientific literature, was an inconvenient truth accurate? In other words, did it represent the scientific mainstream? And further, was it a political film?
Justice Michael Burton ruled that An Inconvenient Truth.
I'm literally going out there tomorrow I'm going to go get like a little wire brush. I'm going to go out and check every single fuse in a damn thing and clean everything up. Anything that might be in any way
figuratively
not connecting, and while I'm doing it, I'm going to be checking over the wires and everything. You know, I'm going to do the due diligence.
I'm literally going to describe the difference between literally and figuratively.
You should. Some people don't know it. But figuratively speaking, we could handle that tomorrow.
Yes, it can be done.
Literally.
Substantially founded upon scientific research and fact, albeit that the science is used in the hands of a talented politician and communicator to make a political statement and to support a political program, and that, quote, the film advances 4 main scientific hypotheses, each of which is very well supported by research published in respected peer-reviewed journals and accords with the latest.
I'll be back, right?
Mr. Gore, do you have the weather? We all gonna die. Back to you, Bob.
Right.
Conclusions of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
However, he also identified 9 errors in the film that I've broken down into 3 broad categories. But I think the film contains another error, a much larger one that the judge couldn't possibly have known about and so wasn't included in the court case. So in this video, let's talk about those 9 errors in perhaps the most significant piece of climate change media ever made. And that one extra.
I know there's an audition for Shawshank. Dear God, I hope he stays on long enough for me to come down from here afterwards.
And what they all tell us about climate science.
The first group of errors can be described as sensationalism. Gore talks about Greenland melting, polar bears drowning, and Pacific islands being evacuated.
In each case, the fundamental idea that Gore talks about has strong scientific backing. However, the way in which he talks about these ideas is a little more problematic. In the first instance, Gore talks about how if Greenland, or an equivalent ice mass in Antarctica, melted, then global sea levels would rise by up to 7 meters. And this would be, to put it mildly, catastrophic, as Gore demonstrates with maps of major cities that would be flooded. The issue with this is that while 7 meters of sea level rise is a perfectly reasonable estimate for Greenland melting, that melting, and so that sea level rise, would take place over centuries. And Gore in the film never actually mentions a time frame. To be clear, Greenland is melting. It's actually melting faster than we thought it would. And this is contributing to accelerating sea level rise. But no scientist is seriously expecting to see multiple meters of sea level rise this century. They didn't back in 2006 either. Gore was being somewhat disingenuous in his presentation. Not exactly lying, but lying by omission, making this issue, which is serious, seem more urgent than it really is.
The judge's rulings on the other two errors in this category were similar. At one point in the film, Gore talks about how polar bears are having to swim in open ocean due to melting Arctic sea ice, and this has resulted in some bears drowning. While Arctic sea ice is absolutely retreating in summer, and some bears have been found drowned, this was an exceptional event, seemingly caused by a storm. Similarly, Gore states that Pacific Islands are being inundated due to rising sea levels and citizens are having to evacuate to New Zealand. While sea level rise is happening very quickly in the Western Pacific, as much as 30 centimeters of rise since 1950, as far as I can tell, there was no actual evidence for evacuations happening at this time.
Greenland is melting. Arctic sea ice is also melting, and that very much poses a threat to polar bear populations. And they also both contribute to sea level rise around the world, threatening the flooding of low-lying nations.
Apparently I'm red in the reading of the Shawshank Redemption.
Cool.
He's supposed to be Irish.
There's a couple of things.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Number one, say that all of the ice melted in the polar cap. Right. And it all went into the ocean.
Okay.
Sea level wouldn't rise because the planet is spinning. It would literally go out to the edge of the equator and bulge just like it does now. And also, if the ice caps were to melt, that would mean that it's closer to the sun, getting hotter in that spot, which would mean that another spot would be getting colder because it's further away from the sun. So it would freeze. Because we live on a round planet.
All right. So as far as like the northern ice caps, yeah, I know that you're spot on, bud. The southern ice cap though sits on a continent, and some of the spots in there we don't know how thick they are. We have no clue. There could be mountains.
There's a map called a Perry-Reese map, which contains the land mass of the continent of Antarctica, which apparently the imperialists didn't discover until the 1600s. Didn't know it was there. But somebody did because they drew it on a map in the 1400s. So, and at that time, it wasn't frozen. So if it wasn't frozen at some point, it stands to reason it'd be okay if it wasn't frozen at some other point. Right? Also, if the sea rises, now you guys in the chat, listen to me very carefully. This is high scientific annotation right here. If you don't hear me, you may drown. If the sea rises, move.
No, you're spot on with that one, bud. Let's see about that. Skadoosh.
I have no doubt that the sea will rise. I have no doubt that it's done so many times.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How long ago did that pop out? 30 minutes ago. That's pretty cool. We'll check that out in a minute.
What are you talking about?
He posted a link in chat, and I was checking to see what that link was.
Your mind was elsewhere, wasn't it? You invited me on to What You Think, didn't you?
Oh, dude, I invited you on to fill the fucking silent gaps when I think I'm thinking, having an idea, and then I didn't have an idea, and I end up all stuttering, not knowing what to say, and I keep talking, and nobody wants to hear any of this trash, but here I am. Or let me rephrase that. Here I am. What? Hey, apparently, and my wife notified me of this today. I do an excellent Krusty the Clown laugh.
Yes.
But since I didn't know that, I can't just do it on demand because I didn't know I could do it at all.
Right.
It's like trying to learn to arch an eyebrow. You can't do it till you find that muscle.
I can't do it even if I found the muscle because I don't have that muscle.
Freak.
I raise my eyebrow, my ears and my nose go up.
What makes
Yeah, why does everybody want beachfront properties if we're going to lose them in the next 15, 20 years, dude? I'm so baffled by this one point.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear what they're saying. I'm looking at the physics of this situation. Sure, hotter earth, warmer seas, more acidic, less organisms, all that stuff. Sounds like a second renaissance to me, man. You realize how much of the taiga going to be opened up for farming? I mean, it doesn't exactly look like a dismal dystopian future. It looks like one where quite possibly Russia may have the upper hand, or Mongolia.
Could be Mongolia. I like what Smoking Auditor says. He says it looks like we're just going to have more cool cities like Venice, right?
You know, I always wanted New Orleans just to give up the fight and just do the thing, just commit to being a Venice-like city, because the French Quarter would be above water usually.
New Orleans sits in a hole where the delta of the Mississippi, the mud from the Mississippi once was when it washed out into the ocean from the Grand Canyon forming. Anyway, aside from all that, when Hurricane Katrina hit, everybody was freaking out like, see, it's underwater. It's underwater. I'm like, they live in a bowl. What are you talking about? You're lucky you're alive.
You have any idea what the percentage of people that own boats in New Orleans is? And you know why they own boats? Just in case.
Just in case, because they live in a bowl.
They live in a bowl. They live in a dike. Well, let me rephrase that. In a dam. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. In a I don't even know what to call it because they've taken away all our words.
You can still say levee, I think.
Wait. A levee encircled. No, let's go back to climate change. Fuck that.
claims that are either ambiguous or he frames the issue in such a way that implies the issues are more urgent than the evidence really supports. Which is super frustrating because you don't need to exaggerate when talking about the climate crisis. The data speaks for itself. We can be sure that we will face major issues this century. No hype needed. And speaking of being sure...
So I'm Dan Mitchell. I'm a professor of climate science at the University of Bristol.
The next category of errors in An Inconvenient Truth has to do with attribution.
So attribution is where we take some observations and we look at what's causing a change in those observations. So that's what's called trend attribution. But there's a subset which looks at specific extreme events. We call that extreme event attribution. And that essentially says how much more likely or not was that event due to human-induced climate change.
Events that may include Hurricane Katrina, the drying of Lake Chad, and the snow melting on Mount Kilimanjaro. All events mentioned in An Inconvenient Truth as being caused by climate change. Now, I should point out that attributions...
Well, you see, polar bears live in the coldest part of the world, and they freeze sometimes, so they don't like to swim. So when they die, it's a bad thing.
You know, more polar bears attacks occurs per capita than any other species of bear.
Did you see that documentary the guy did where he built him a little plexiglass box out in the Antarctica or whatever, and the polar bear attacked it? I'm saying let them go extinct. We don't need polar bears.
We have plenty of brown bears, black bears, and most of those
vicious monsters.
They really are. They are ice age monsters left over from a previous era. And say what you will about what's the term? Keystone species and whatnot. I don't think bear fits the equation of a keystone species.
If the polar bear went extinct, the worst thing that would happen is we'd have more of those cute little seals.
I don't see any particular flaw in that logic. A few more people too.
Probably, yes. You know, the Inuit have a word for polar bear that we don't have in English, and it is
yeah, right. No, we got that one too. we stole it as soon as we saw a polar bear. Man, all right. So we got Greenland's ice melting now,
and Iceland is lush and green. This is why we don't trust the government, folks.
Yeah.
They've been lying to us from the beginning.
Yet again, facts detected. I mean, like, I can't. There's no flaw there. I don't see.
I'm full of it, buddy. I'm full of it.
Oh boy,
no comeback. Come on. I set them up, and you look right over top of them.
I do. I just stand around and stare blankly because I'm not sure exactly where this went. So Greenland ice melting, polar bears drowning, and island evacuation. Now,
so
first
far,
of
I'm
all,
with you.
the only. Oh, that's cool, bud. That's cool. You got the link if you want to hop in. 56 Fury, dude, you got to stop it. Hey, ATL, welcome to the show. Right? Facts detected. Yes, sir. All right. Here's the issue I have with all of this. The only island evacuation, actual full-on evacuation I'm familiar with was done at the end of after World War II during the Bikini Atoll bomb testing, where the prevailing wind wasn't what the scientists thought it would be. And so it ended up going over some particular islands in the South Pacific. And the U.S. government showed up with all their big boats and was like, look, we know this has been your home for 7,000 years and shit, and it's the heart of the world, but y'all got to get the fuck out of here. You're all going to die. Like, get on the boats. We'll take you over here, give you a totally different island.
Dude, they did not evacuate Haiti.
Right.
Enough said. You know what happened in Haiti? It moved the earth 3 inches off its axis. That earthquake. It was that severe. They didn't evacuate people. There was a tsunami. They were cats and dogs were living together. It was pandemonium.
What about the pandas?
And they didn't move anybody. They built a soccer field. The foundation that is owned by the previous presidents that I won't mention because I don't want to die. I'm not suicidal. They built a soccer field with all that money.
Well, lovely. I guess like, all of the homeless people need somewhere to go entertain themselves.
The Haitians are like, I thought we were going to get houses. What happened?
Well, that's what happens when you have a socialist government. They decide what to do with your money. They decide what to do with our money. They decide what to do with someone else's money because to them, money is something that you print.
Correction. They said, I thought we were going to get houses. What happened? Have you seen my daughter?
Yeah. So, all right. So back on with the climate change.
May include Hurricane Katrina, the drying of Lake Chad, and the snow melting on Mount Kilimanjaro. All events mentioned in Inconvenient Proof as being caused by climate change. Now, I
that's twice.
That studies are very difficult to do, and they involve complex computer models of the Earth's atmosphere over and over again.
The real problem
you got to make it to 57 minutes before you get your third one. You can't do another
one set of observations. Because we have climate change within our system, it's very hard to say what it would have been like without climate change.
God, man.
Around that is we run climate models where we include the climate change signal, but also where we exclude it. CO2s from human-induced emissions in one scenario and without them in another scenario. And then we compare what the weather looks in that world without climate change versus that world with climate change. And then we look at where the observation.
All right. What I just heard.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
We take a static picture of the Earth as it is, and we compare our projections of changes we project against that static picture of the world as it is and call that climate change. And we attribute these various changes to more climate change.
Mm-hmm. Circular reasoning at its best. You are correct, sir. And this is what is known as a fake out, because if it's winter and you take a picture with a satellite and then you wait till summer and then take another picture with a satellite and then run those two pictures congruently, they look different.
Yeah, right. If you do the same thing on a temperature model or wind speed model or anything, any changing system that you render static and then compare to the alternate motion, will appear to be not only changing, but changing in a faster and faster rate.
My favorite one is when they take a boat out to Antarctica to the wall, the ice wall that's there, and they take photographs or movies of the ice sloughing off, and they're like, see, it's melting. And I'm like, you realize that's ice, right?
And that's been going on for like a bajillion long time.
That's what ice does when it hangs off the side of a building or whatever. It comes off. I can have that same thing happen when it snows. Do I walk outside too hard?
You've seen snow?
Yeah.
What is it like?
Here about every 3 years.
Is it really white and fluffy like they say?
It's only been that once. We had about 6 foot of snow 1 year, and the rest of the time it just kind of, it's like ice.
Well, that's what happens here. We get vast loss of ice. We don't really get snow. It doesn't really
got real snow one time, but that's
sometimes white stuff comes out of the sky and sticks to shit and it looks like snow, but that shit's bulletproof.
Right. Same thing. But we usually get 1 or 2 inches like that. You know, it snows, but it's gone by noon.
Right.
But
I don't.
1 year we had a lot.
The only time I've ever seen actual snow was me and my wife went on a honeymoon thing to some cabins up in some freaking where North Georgia. It was the same place where they filmed Dirty Dancing, the lake scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That's that place. Wherever that place is. I stayed.
That was in the Catskills.
No, it's in North Georgia. The place that they were supposed to be at, and a lot of the filming was done, was in the Catskills, but the actual lake dancing scene was filmed up here somewhere.
Okay,
where they were training
somewhere in Atlanta, because that's where the film industry is.
Anyway, that's neither here. It snowed while I was up there, and previous to that, I'd never seen fluffy, drifty snow. Like the idea of snow blowing by was weird to me.
It's only snowed in Georgia heavy one time since I've been alive, and that was, the year before 74? I was born.
76?
Yeah.
74.
74.
Yeah. I've heard stories of 74.
Yeah.
And some of the stories was like Lil Wayne, apparently, one of my neighbors in 74, he was 7. And he got in trouble for piling up a bunch of snow and digging a hole through it. Right.
Yeah.
He got about the worst butt whooping he ever got. What's up, Kevin Cox? Welcome to the show.
Kevin Cox.
Kevin Cox. He's the jock with the socks and the Kevin Cox. You know, he's the one that's got the pun. How you doing, bud? We're trying to have a conversation. It's not really going my way.
Observation sits within those 2 weather patterns, and that tells us the attribution of the event.
You'll notice that Dan talked about shifting weather patterns and probabilities. The idea is an attribution study can tell you if the weather conditions leading to, say, a lake drying up became more likely due to climate change, not if the lake drying up was caused by climate change. And the other thing to stress is that this is really quite a new idea. It's only slightly older than an inconvenient truth itself.
An inconvenient truth actually occurred at a very interesting time in attribution science.
Really?
It's where the field of extreme event attribution was actually first developed. That was around 2003. They were all based on large scale, by large, I mean sort of UK level, meteorological variables, so heat waves mainly. The reason we looked at heat waves was because that's a very strong signal within climate change. Over the 20 years since then, we've got finer detail, and we started looking at
the UK is rather small.
Wait. A heat wave is a strong signal within climate change.
Yes,
An unusually hot year, which appears in their records, unless you're using undersea cores and stuff like that, ice cores, it would exist as a gap, an area without knowledge, not a strong signal, not some, you might be able to learn something from it, but not from the gases in the ice, because the ice didn't form. In fact, you lost previous ice and lost more information.
And also, did you catch where he said that he based it on a UK sized area?
Right.
UK is small by comparison to other places.
AJOT lives in a county in Texas that's bigger than that whole fucking island over there.
And also, it don't get that cold in the UK. So how are they doing these ice studies?
So, like, I'm an Ice Age mammal, and I'm all about bringing back the Ice Age. We can do all this climate change shit that you want to do, because I'm full on for, like, big, fluffy chicks, right? I like big girls, and I cannot lie. So, yeah, let's cause an Ice Age.
Jack, is Tucker already filming? I mean, has he already released his show on Twitter? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead, dude.
I haven't heard this. That's what
he's been doing something on Twitter. I'm not exactly sure how that works per se. I know he had some kind of a live stream that crashed everything a few weeks ago, and I don't know if they've done anything since then. You know. But yeah, no. Let's make fat girls cool again.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Droughts, for instance, or flooding or storms, those sort of things that are higher order problems. At the time of Inconvenient Truth, there was no way an attribution study could have been done on Katrina.
Justice Burton rules that An Inconvenient Truth was erroneous in claiming that Hurricane Katrina, the snowmelt on Kilimanjaro, and the drying of Lake Chad were caused by climate change, as the science simply did not support such confident statements. Frankly, it still doesn't.
Attribution studies have come a long way since the time of the film. Scientists can now make statements with greater confidence and describing a greater range of events. But even now, to say that climate change was responsible for, say, Hurricane Katrina is misleading. In fact, the
best part about dating a fat girl, no matter where you grab her, it all feels like a boob.
Amen, brother.
Hey, Violence is Life. Welcome to the show, bud. What's up, YouTube police? What's happening? Woo!
Oh shit, I'm in trouble now.
Ozymandias, welcome to the show. Good to see you. It's kind of weird. I've been live for almost an hour. People are now just starting to pop in.
Hey, Ozymandias, if you move all this dirt, you can have the kingdom.
Science says that climate change may have led to certain elements of Hurricane Katrina being more intense, and similar statements about the reduction in snow on Mount Kilimanjaro, though interestingly less so actually about the drying of Lake Chad. And this reductivism, taking a complex statement and reducing it down to a snappy headline, is a problem with how the media talks about attribution studies in general.
There are deep nuances in what we do. One of the problems is attribution is used a lot in the media, and they want a snappy title, and you can't get across the 10 caveats in a title. And so those things are picked up, they're used elsewhere, and they often don't exactly correspond to what we were trying to say. And we haven't found a good way of getting around that without having a sort of article attached to it.
The final category of errors are those that, to be honest, I don't think are errors at all. Some of this is said with the benefit of hindsight, or more accurately, the benefit of nearly 2 decades more observations and analysis. But some errors I do just flat out disagree with. Like the first one, in which the judge rules that the relationship between global average temperature and CO2 concentration in the atmosphere is not exact, as Gore states in the film. In fact, he says...
And the relationship is actually very complicated, but there is one relationship that is far more powerful than all the others, and it is this. When there is more carbon dioxide, the temperature gets warmer because it traps more heat from the sun inside.
Which is a very good description. Complex relationship, but the overwhelming correlation over the timescales depicted is that when CO2 levels go up, so too does the global average temperature.
Okay.
I don't think Paul actually said anything.
No, I'm trying to break it up a little bit. Okay. So do you buy any of that shit?
Don't trees eat CO2?
So does kudzu, and I hear it's got an excellent foothold over here.
I think that
Did I miss
grass and trees eat CO2 and produce oxygen.
Yeah, they do.
So,
if you've ever seen Bahia take over a riverbank, don't think about there.
According to Al Gore, we're going to have more oxygen and more trees. And this is bad. Why?
Well, all right. So I'm going to take a little dip into this, and then we'll move back on to the show, right? The issue seems to be, and like you said, it's complicated, but whenever you dissolve more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, more carbon dioxide dissolves into the ocean. The top surface of the ocean becomes more acidic, which becomes less viable conditions for microscopic flora and fauna.
Isn't that what the coral reef is for?
The coral reef has been bleaching, and the thought is that the bleaching is taking place because of these acidic high temperature water currents, right? But the fact is that there are reports of these bleaching spots all the way back to like the discovery of the Great Barrier Reef.
Isn't that its function to filter the ocean? Wouldn't filtering the ocean cause it to have white spots?
Yeah, bud. Go ahead, Andy Jack. You're good. Welcome to the show, Divine Sorcerer. Good to see you. Did I send you a link? I don't know. I sent a bunch of people links. I just kind of randomly scattershot it.
And I showed up.
It's the acidic nature and the fact that it also causes the salt water to absorb even more carbon dioxide. I'm of the opinion that kind of sounds like we could maybe pump some water from the bottom of the ocean and just straighten that shit right out.
I'm of the mind that we can desalinate water relatively easily, and yet no one does it.
It's an energy intensive process. Although if done properly, it's almost a free energy process. It's just that the construction of it costs a buku money. But once it's constructed, why not? You get free water, free salt.
Have you ever noticed how much it costs to pave a highway?
And deuterium. Oh no, everybody was late, dude. It's not just you. I sat in here and did the first hour of this show to 4 people. Like, for real. It would go up to about 6, and then Jake would tell a joke, and it'd go back down to 2.
And apparently I'm saucy tonight.
A little bit sassy. That's true. All right, we're about halfway through it.
All right, right on.
Another error in Justice Burton's judgment was to do with coral reefs. By the time of the film's release, reefs around the world were being bleached. This is a process in which the delicate symbiotic relationship within a coral is disrupted, leading to the coral turning white and, in most cases, starving. Gore argues that this is happening because of climate change.
The judge cited the then latest IPCC report in saying that the causes of coral bleaching are difficult to separate and there's no clear link to climate change. Though with the benefit of hindsight, they absolutely are being bleached because of climate change due to rising sea temperatures. The evidence at the time was, however, undeniably weaker. And lastly, Gore talks at some length about the Atlantic Ocean Conveyor, an ocean current that transports heat up to the North Atlantic. You've probably heard of the surface component of this, the Gulf Stream. The idea, according to Gore, is that if enough meltwater ran off a melting Greenland, that this conveyor could stop, as it has done in the past. At the time, the scientific consensus was that while the conveyor may slow, it was very unlikely to actually stop. Subsequent analysis indicates that in some pessimistic scenarios, this collapse is actually likely. So I don't think the film is really wrong, just that the evidence at the time didn't really justify the confidence Gore implied in his conclusion.
So I love how they assume all of this nonsense and then make science on it.
Inconvenient truth contained. It's worth restating at this point that Justice Burton found that the film was substantially founded upon scientific research and that the film's 4 main scientific hypotheses were very well supported by research published in respected peer-reviewed journals. The main thrust of the
film is getting at is accurate. The 9 errors are the exception rather than the norm, and they certainly don't undermine or compromise the overall message of the film. But what about that one extra big error that the judge couldn't possibly have known about?
Well, that is how An Inconvenient Truth set the precedent for how we talk about climate change.
Rewatching the film now is interesting. Gore very clearly makes the film as much about himself as about climate change, which is smart. Humans are drawn to other humans, to individuals instead of concepts. However, because of who Gore is and how he frames the issue politically within the film, an immediate battle line is drawn. The film reads as, if you think I should have won the election in the year 2000, then you are on my side, the side of science. And of course, if you disagree, then you are on the other side. Almost 20 years on from the release of An Inconvenient Truth, the dialogue around climate change remains almost unchanged. It's still partisan, perhaps nowhere more so than in the United States. It's still mired in personal, ad hominem attacks, and perhaps most unforgivably, still focused on the actions of individuals. A lot of people seem to have forgotten that An Inconvenient Truth, describing this apocalyptic threat to humanity, ends with a plea for the audience to do more, such as by buying more energy-efficient light bulbs.
And don't forget your electric cars that use cobalt mined from the mountains
climate change
by children. You got to have
charged by diesel,
by coal power plants and propane power plants. Yeah, all it seems to do in reality, all it actually seems to do is consolidate energy into smaller and smaller number of companies' hands.
That what it's actually doing is consolidating wealth into a smaller and smaller group of people.
I think that's exactly what I just said. Just
it is
same thing. Same thing. Yeah. Tax detected.
As a problem of individuals, not as a problem of societies or of policy. And watching it today, even knowing the positive attention that the film unquestionably brought to the issue, it's an uncomfortable framing. It makes me wonder how different the discourse and the climate policy landscape would be today if the film was just a little less focused on Gore the individual and a little more focused on what good climate policy on a national and sub-national level looks like. How much time did we lose?
That wouldn't help Al Gore at all.
What can an Inconvenient tell us about climate science? Not a lot. Sorry if you clicked on this video expecting me to pull the threads on some global conspiracy that we're just poking out of a film by Al Gore. His film is almost entirely accurate, and the hypotheses of climate change, as depicted in the film, are very well supported by the evidence. What it can tell us about is the relationship between science and politics. Remember that the court case was partly about how accurate the film was, but also about whether it was a political film or not.
He wrote a scissor lift off of a chart.
Yes, obviously.
Do what?
He wrote a scissor lift off of a graph. He had a big picture of a graph that had a red line going up, and he got in a scissor lift and went up to the top, and then went past the TV screen. But it's entirely accurate.
Entirely accurate.
Climate science is about describing a physical system and making predictions about the future state of that system based on our understanding. Interpreting those predictions as a problem requires a value judgment, something that science in its purest form does not do. Calling attention to a problem seen in scientific predictions and proposing solutions to it is the domain of activism and politics, not science. An Inconvenient Truth very much falls into the category of politics. It just so happens that the issue and the proposed solutions to it are based on well-documented science. As such, Justice Burton ruled that the film was clearly political, and thus that the distribution of the film in its current form to schools was in breach of the Education Act of 1996. To correct this, going forwards, the film would be distributed with an updated guidance note with more neutral language and a longer list of organizations that oppose the interpretation of climate change as a problem, as well as highlighting the 9 errors in the film.
So did the ruling find that An Inconvenient Truth was unscientific propaganda and shouldn't be shown in schools?
No.
No. The ruling found that An Inconvenient Truth was almost entirely accurate, and that it advocates for political change.
Thus, it's entirely accurate, except for the middle, the end, and most of the beginning.
Guidance for teachers, which is what happens.
It was kind of like my father's axe. You know, I've replaced the head and the handle, but it's still his axe.
Yes.
Going forward. Though that idea of balance is what I want to finish this video with. An Inconvenient Truth is not a work of science. It is a piece of media describing science to a political end that gets some things wrong, and in so doing joins a very large body of media. However, do not make the mistake of equating the errors of An Inconvenient Truth with those made by people skeptical of anthropogenic climate change. Climate skeptics cherry-pick data, and they take findings out of context in order to make statements that fly completely counter to the scientific consensus, while those who advocate for action on climate change make statements that are missing caveats or are insufficiently supported by the evidence, though still grounded in fact, and do so in order to accelerate action that is deemed necessary based on the scientific consensus. Both are problematic, and An Inconvenient Truth definitely strays into the latter, but they are not the same.
You remind me of the kind of dude that uses the word divisive.
Yeah, and in conversations that shouldn't have the word divisive.
It's problematic.
Dude, problematic. All right. So there's a handful of words and things that you can use to visually and auditorially protect yourself from these weird Fruit Loops that are running around trying to victimize everyone with their victimhood status, right?
Yeah, just begin every sentence with the word "so."
Quite often. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. That checks out. They use words like problematic and critical, and if you hear the phrase anti-racism, you know you're dealing with a full bore racist. Whatever color they might be, they think that white people are horrible just by the very statement of the word anti-racist.
I've seen Jesse Lee Peterson.
Do what?
I've seen Jesse Lee Peterson.
Well, I mean, you can talk unconscious biases till your heart blows out. It's still going to be absolutely in tune with your anti-racist policy to be racist against white people, and that is the basis of anti-racism. So I'm sorry, I'm too white to be able to support any of that trash.
That's right.
I believe that I have a dream, damn it, that we won't bother with none of that racial bullshit, because I absolutely refuse to live in a world where Charlie Manson was right. I won't do it. I won't do it. That's just
not right.
Okay, so we've covered climate change, and I've still got crap in my freaking hair from earlier when I was rolling around under the truck. It's driving me crazy. I was putting my grill back in place. I took my grill out because it was shattered, and I put everything back together and glued it all back into place and touched up the paint here and there so that you can't really tell, and put it all back. But I tightened up one spot a little too tight, and now it looks even sadder than it did before. So, yeah, it wasn't a totally useless day. Good guy shooters are a myth. What do you think?
Say again.
Is there a such thing as good guy shooters?
Yes.
All right. Or would you rather cover police chases?
I like the good guy shooters.
All right. We're going to try this. It might get us deuced off of YouTube.
Review.
It uses an awful lot of news camera footage from different places and whatnot. So
just stop it every 20 seconds.
God knows what kind of shit I'm fixing to encounter on this one. So I watched through it, but I did it muted. So I don't know if there's any music or anything. I just checked it out to make sure there wasn't no naked women running around and crap. Wasn't really paying much attention. So this will be almost as much of a reaction video for me as you. And the individual who did this is
Madman Review.
Yup. Bam. If y'all want to go check out some of his stuff. It's pinned in the comments over there.
I have a link too.
Cool.
Anybody wants to share it?
Maybe. I don't know. I might even go look for it in a second.
You don't
In
know
recent
it?
years, gun violence has become a major issue in the U.S., leaving many anti-gun idiots feeling helpless and afraid. However, there are a ton of instances where individuals have taken action and used their legally owned firearm to stop a dangerous situation and prevent crime. Anti-gun progressivists have always stood by their argument, saying a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun is a myth. Well, hopefully, this video proves otherwise. There is no denying the fact that an individual who has access to a legally owned defensive firearm can stop a bad guy, even without having been trained. In this video, we will talk about some of the most compelling cases where individuals used their firearms to protect themselves and others from harm. Oh, and if you didn't know, none of the Soros-funded media channels cover these types of news, so if you haven't seen any of them aired on national TV, you can blame it on Soros. These stories of bravery and quick thinking serve as a reminder that in the face of danger, there are people who are willing and able to take action to save lives and can do it as long as they have access to a firearm.
Thank you.
Number 10. On September 25th of 2014, Alton Nolan, a former employee of Vaughn Foods in Moore, Oklahoma, thought it would be a good idea to go on a little rampage. This deranged psycho was suspended from his job following a complaint made against him by another employee of the company, Tracy Johnson, after an argument about his alleged dislike for white people. Nolan then went home, retrieved a knife, and placed it in his shoe. He later drove to the plant's distribution center, crashing into a parked car before entering the front administrative office area. There, he attacked another employee, Colleen Hufford, from behind, first slashing her throat and then beheading her. Other co-workers tried to intervene by kicking and throwing chairs at him. Nolan also attacked Tracy.
Here's why I don't do this. Where's it at? Display names. Bam. Suddenly you can't see the chat hardly at all. And you can barely read his because it's so freaking tiny. So it seems kind of pointless to have the and we can show the headlines because I'm the diversity hire. Right? But that's why I don't do it. It's also why I don't have this or this hanging out up here, is because if I have 3 people, it puts one of them up under my logo. So I don't know. I'm just kind of free balling it over here, I suppose.
Free balling.
When you're free balling. Sorry, I had to do that once.
Thank you, Smoking Auditor.
Yeah, bud.
Johnson intending to behead her. The attack ended when Vaughn Foods Chief Operating Officer Mark Vaughn, an Oklahoma County Reserve deputy, shot and wounded Nolan, who was later arrested by responding police. Nolan was taken into custody and charged with all sorts of nasty things, including first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and assault and battery with a deadly weapon. It turns out Nolan had a bit of a criminal past, with multiple assault and battery charges and even an attempted prison escape under his belt.
Go figure.
Yeah,
Criminal had a criminal record.
On July 17, 2022,
How about that?
a tragic incident took place at a mall in Indiana. Jonathan Sapperman, a local citizen from Greenwood, entered the mall carrying multiple firearms and over 100 rounds of ammunition. He proceeded to hide in a restroom near the food court, where he stayed for over an hour before beginning his deadly attack. Once he emerged from the restroom, Sapperman began firing into the food court area of the mall, killing Victor Gomez, a resident of Indianapolis, who was standing near the restroom entrance. He then targeted a nearby table, shooting and fatally injuring Pedro and Rosa Pineda, a married couple also from Indianapolis. The shooter then continued firing, causing injuries to a 22-year-old woman and a 12-year-old girl who were among the mall patrons. However, amid the chaos, a civilian bystander named Elijah Dickin took action. Dickin, who was legally armed, engaged in a gunfight with Sapperman just 15 seconds after the shooting began. He fired 10 rounds from his Glock handgun and hit the shooter 8 times, ultimately neutralizing the threat.
Hell yeah.
Bravery and quick thinking of Dickin prevented.
So what do you reckon the 2 shots that missed were?
I bet it's the bad guy.
No, he shot 10 times and hit the shooter 8 times.
Oh, probably in the wall behind his head.
Yeah. but I'm just saying, was it the first two or the last two, you reckon?
Last two. First
yeah,
two,
that first
one
one,
by instinct.
Right, that first one probably got dropped right out the fucking pop. You're probably right. That'd be my guess anyway.
I think we should say, though, you should absolutely carry a gun and be a good guy shooter, but never do that unless you have been trained to fire that firearm.
I would go a bit further, and while I as a person agree that saving someone's life is worth the risk under most circumstances, my ass in New York, you're fucked. I am not pulling my pistol and pulling the trigger because I would much rather walk out of here.
Well, of course not. They voted for that.
Right? No, that's fine, but I'm not going there. I don't plan on going there. But should by some stretch of the imagination my ass end up in New York with a pistol in my pocket and some shit hit the fan, long as they don't touch me, they're fine.
That's right.
Don't touch me or mine. I hate to be that way, but y'all voted for it. Y'all volunteered for that shit. I did not. I will vent that motherfucker 19 times. I will reload if necessary. I carried 2 magazines.
I agree.
Just saying.
Prevented further loss of life and helped to bring an end to the horrific attack. After informing security guards that he had neutralized the shooter, Deacon waited for police to arrive and provide assistance. Number 8.
I bet he got arrested too.
A not-so-bright robber decided to hold up Media Madhouse, a store in Indiana. Unfortunately for him, one of the employees was packing heat and didn't take kindly to being held at gunpoint. With lightning-fast reflexes, the employee drew his own firearm and shoot the would-be robber, saving the day and the lives of everyone in the store.
Get him,
the
boy.
Suspect, a guy by the name of Darnell Jackson, was later identified as having a pretty sketchy criminal history.
But
Jackson was taken into custody and charged with attempted robbery and criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. The owner of Media Madhouse had made the smart decision to allow his employees to carry firearms for protection, and it definitely paid off in this case. Number 7. When 2 teenagers reportedly tried to rob an internet cafe in Ocala, Florida, 71-year-old Samuel Williams refused to sit back and watch. According to reports, Davis G. Dawkins and Dwayne Henderson, both aged 19, entered the cafe wielding a handgun and a baseball bat and yelled at the patrons, "Don't move." Williams, who was seated at a computer in the corner of the cafe, stood up and pulled out a .380 auto handgun. The surveillance footage shows William...
lucky punk. Well,
all right.
Do you?
So I'm going to cover a whole bunch of ground real quick right here.
Go, boy.
That one pistol is beyond a felony. Like that thing, if you have a fully automatic pistol, your ass is going to jail forever. I guess if you're already a criminal and already have your Second Amendment taken, then it doesn't matter whether it's an automatic or not. So you might as well go whole hog. But yeah, laws are the only reason I don't have a fully automatic weapon. But then again, I'm not a criminal. So, I'm not sure how well that helps anybody.
If gun activists get their way, the only people that will have guns are criminals because they're the only ones that won't be following the law.
Right. If you outlaw guns, then you make all legal gun owners outlaws.
Right. And all outlaw gun owners.
Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily. I guess you could be a corporate outlaw and not own a gun, but you're still robbing motherfuckers. Right?
All right.
Firing 2 shots at Henderson, who quickly fled the scene. Williams then shot at both young men as they panicked and ran out of the cafe. After their arrest, Dawkins and Henderson were charged with attempted armed robbery with a firearm and felony criminal mischief. However, officials said that Williams was unlikely to be charged with
smoking auditor. It is against the law to do anything that results in the firing of multiple anything. Like unless you use air compression or something, if you're using actual bullets and it fires more than once when you pull that trigger, that is a automatic weapon.
You can go pow and you can go pow, but you cannot go pow.
Well, you can only go pow on pistols of certain designs, double action revolvers specifically, and only some of those will go pow. But 3 shots and you're in felony territory, regardless of what the appearance or shape or design or any of it is. You make a cannon that can fire over and over and over again with one fire, and it's automatic at that point, and therefore felonious.
Unless you were grown in the 80s and have a M16 that came from the war, and then you're going to get in trouble every time you use it. But technically, you can have it.
Yeah, it's grandfathered in. But you will have had to have noted it in some registry somewhere that you have a fully automatic such and such and blah blah blah. And I think if you already own it, you already get your grandfathered in the permit to own such things. What's up, UK Medic? Good to see you, bud.
We were just talking about you.
Yeah. Speak and you shall receive. But yeah, anything automatic is automatically a felony. Period.
Crime because the shooting appeared to be justifiable. Williams has a concealed weapons permit for his handgun. The state attorney's office reviewed the security footage and said that he doesn't think anyone would file any charges against Williams. Dawkins was released from jail after post.
Now, I'm not telling tales out of school, but you can go down to the hardware store and get you some ball bearings, about 330 seconds, put it in an airsoft gun, and fuck somebody's world entirely up. You want to talk about super soaker full of nasty shit.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, oh, wow. You know, people hunt with air rifles, like big game hunt with air rifles. There's 45 caliber air rifles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I spent about 2 months. No, they're all over the place, especially when you get places like people who live in inner city LA and California and can't easily own a firearm. They get high caliber air rifles and go big game hunting. That way they can cross state lines and all that stuff, and it's not technically a firearm. It's not a bad idea. I mean, it'd be great for fucking home defense too, but I don't want to give them the freaking I don't want to give up that much. I'm sorry. I'm not going to convert to air compressed just because it vaguely misdiagnoses the term firearm.
Plus,
if you're shooting 45 caliber slug at me with intent to kill, I'm going to do it bigger.
Yeah, that's what I was just fixing to say. Plus, I prefer Mr. 45.
I do. I really
like the
do.
hole it makes.
And you can't get it in a pistol form if it's air powered. Not really. You know. And none of that shit, and the rifle or otherwise, is going to give two diddly shits about a bulletproof armor and stuff. Your basic knife vest would stop it.
You guys can't even carry knives over there, can you?
Depends on where you're at in the UK. The farther out in the country you get, the more, or rather, the less restricted it is. Like they can have certain types of long guns and certain types of shotguns, but nothing small enough to stick in your pocket. Nothing that you could carry under a fucking small circus tent. Well, I mean, okay. Let me go as far as I can on supporting the concept. They have no big cats that we know of. They have no violent bears, none of that stuff. The worst thing you'll run across out there is like maybe some crazy neighbors and a badger, perhaps.
Yes, but their police are like, stop, or I'll say stop again.
Yeah. Well, actually, they'll whoop you upside the head with their little bumpkin stick, man. You got to be careful with them bastards. They'll work you over that baton in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but those little funny hats make it hilarious.
It's true. I'll be giggling the whole time, but yeah. No, you're not wrong.
Sorry, UK. I'm just messing with you.
We're just poking, bud. It's good stuff. Much love. You know it. 7 stabbing. See, you turn a few guns loose out there, you'll bust that shit clean up.
Stop that right immediately. Yes.
The very next day, there'll be 7 shootings and no stabbing victims. Gotcha.
They start if you gave them guns, that it'd be like 12 months tops. They'd be having Southern accents. What did you say about an act, Mark? Is that 3? I'm sorry.
No, dude, you made it past the 57-minute mark.
Posting an $11,000 bond, while Henderson remained in Marion County Jail for failing to post a $31,000 bond. The incident serves as a reminder of the importance of responsible gun ownership, demonstrating how a 71-year-old arthritis-stricken senior can stop any bad guy. It also goes to show that if you mess with the wrong cafe in Florida, you might just end up with a few extra holes in your pants.
Or an alligator.
Number 6. In January of 2012, a young Oklahoma widow, Sarah McKinley, was forced to shoot and kill a man who broke into her home in search of prescription drugs belonging to her deceased husband. Sarah's husband had passed away on Christmas Day, leaving behind their 3-year-old son Justin and medications for his cancer treatment. Justin Martin, a friend of Sarah's deceased husband and who was addicted to prescription drugs, had gone missing in recent weeks, prompting Sarah to suspect someone was breaking in. Martin knew Sarah's deceased husband had recently died of cancer and believed there were more narcotics in the house. On the night of the funeral, Martin knocked on Sarah's door but left when he realized she had company. However, he returned on New Year's Day armed with a 12-inch hunting knife and broke into the house. Sarah called 911 and reported the break-in while all...
Bro, that is hardcore, bro. I love my honey badger animal companion. Hashtag honey badger hugs matter. Bro, don't hug that thing. It's just tasting you. It's preparing for the kill. Yep, go check out Data's Law Act mandatory carry. Go check out Carrie. He's the one on the screen. He's over there. He's good peeps. Kind of nutty, like squirrel poop, but good peeps.
Also arming herself with a 12-gauge shotgun. When Martin entered the room, Sarah shot him dead. Police later confirmed that Sarah would not face charges as the shooting was considered to be in self-defense. Sarah's bravery in protecting herself and her son has been widely praised by the firearms community. Number 5. A 69-year-old Alabama resident named Ethel Jones became a viral sensation after she shot an intruder who attempted to break into her home in the middle of the night. Jones, a widow and mother of 4, was in her bathroom when she heard someone at her back and front doors. Suspecting a break-in, she reached for her snub-nosed revolver in .38 Special, which she kept under her pillow and waited for the intruder to make a move. The intruder removed a window air conditioner and began to make his way into the house. Jones fired 3 shots when she saw the intruder, causing him to flee the scene wounded. The suspect, 18-year-old Michael Bynum, lived less than a mile away from Jones. After being shot 3 times, he fled the scene with a new perspective on the dangers of breaking into a gun-toting granny's home. He was taken to the hospital, where he was arrested by the police. He sustained a gunshot wound to the gut and was charged with second-degree burglary. Despite never having fired her firearm before, Jones proved that even senior citizens can be tough as nails when it comes to defending themselves and their homes. Number 4. Jan Cooper, a 72-year-old Southern California resident, defended herself and her 85-year-old husband by shooting at a man who attempted to break into their home. Cooper fired a single shot from her .357 Magnum revolver when the man attempted to enter their home through a sliding door around 12:30 a.m. on June 9th of 2013. Cooper warned a dispatcher that she had a gun while her Rottweiler barked in the background. Through the vertical blinds, Cooper saw his silhouette just inches away from the glass as he began to slide open the door. She immediately called 911, during which she told the intruder to back off and leave. She then yelled at him that she was going to...
Hello, 911? Yeah, I found a dead body in my house.
Yeah.
It was dead there when it fell there. Yeah, you should probably send somebody. Thank you. Click. I need somebody to do paperwork. Send me the cops. Oh, what's up, Kevin? All clear? Cool. Excellent. Just got done driving from jail in Frostproof. I'm now in Gators after listening to you guys for the last hour. I decided to lay down everyone here before sitting at the bar.
You do it, buddy.
Good luck. You're in Florida. They probably got more bullets, bro.
Somebody
I'd advise against it. Throw an alligator at them and run. That's what I do.
That's what I'd do. You ever seen one of these?
Yeah, right. Slap it about twice and throw it at him. Punch it in the nose and then hit him with it. Better yet, hey, wait. You know they're doing the crack raccoon, right? Since Cocaine Bear did so good, they're doing, no joke. This is apparently legitimately in the works. Samuel says so, but I'm thinking, what about barbiturate badger? Amphetamine cougar, steroid shark.
I like the methed up alligator.
Meth up alligator. Just just you'd have to put like a shoulder harness on that thing so you could carry it. I'm about 6
He's behind him.
Fuck you, Carrie. Straight to the moon, Bo. Oh, Father.
Shoot, and she did. She begged the dispatcher to send deputies, stating that she was unsure if she had hit the man or not, who was standing at her back door in her yard. Minutes after the incident, the suspect, Brandon Alexander Perez, was arrested by responding deputies who had heard the gunshot. Perez pleaded not guilty to a burglary charge. A spokesman for the Orange County Sheriff's Department said that Perez's criminal record included other burglary and narcotics charges. Cooper's gun, which she had owned for around 20 years, was legally purchased and correctly registered. The sheriff stated that it was possible that something worse could have happened if Cooper had not fired her gun. Number 3. In Ashtabula, Ohio, a pregnant mother of 2 found herself in a terrifying situation when 2 intruders attempted to break into her home. The woman, whose identity has not been revealed, refused to let the intruders in, but they proceeded to break down her back door and make their way up the stairs. With no time to waste, the woman retrieved her firearm and fired at the intruders, hitting one of them and scaring them both off. She then called the police, who arrived on the scene and apprehended the injured intruder. This pregnant mom was a real-life Wonder Woman when she showed quick-thinking bravery during a home invasion. Good thing she had access to a firearm as well. The injured intruder...
But why? They're not hungry.
They wouldn't eat if you wanted them to, not for 3 days at least.
But they will chew their own shoulder off.
Picking at their face.
Right? Start plucking the scales off, looking at themselves in the water.
Man, alligator. That sounds like a new reality show.
Right? We can do an episode a week on Meth Up Gator. I might have to start a show. Hold up. That's it. Oh my God, dude. That might have to be a Wednesday show. Shit.
We can use the music from Beavis and Butthead. Down, down, down. Down, down.
Pretty sure it's the People's Court, dude.
Peter was later identified as
I'm fucking with you.
33-year-old Morgan Shane Mesco, who had a history of criminal behavior, including prior arrests for drug offenses and theft. He was charged with burglary and attempted burglary, among other charges.
Burglary.
Number 2. In June of 2012, a 14-year-old
you ever heard an Irish dude
Arizona
trying to say
shot a
purple
man who
burglar?
broke into his home while holding a gun as the teenager watched over his 3 younger siblings. The boy and his siblings were home alone.
I swear homie starts purring. He's like, and he just stares at the camera like, how dare you? How dare you? Yeah, no, we could do, I'm telling you, dude, we could do an hour show a week on Meth Up Gator because it never stops.
When a woman rang the doorbell on Friday. The boy did not answer the door as he did not recognize her. A few moments later, the boy heard a bang on the door, quickly moved his siblings upstairs, and got a handgun from his parents' room. When he reached the top of the stairs, he saw a man breaking through the front door and pointing a gun at him. The boy then shot the 37-year-old intruder. He survived the shot, but was hospitalized and was later booked into jail.
This is the point where I say God made man, but Samuel Colt made them equal.
Amen, brother.
With the tiniest little midget, the littlest little person that can move their finger can equal any individual in power and potency.
Yeah, God made man, but Smith & Wesson made me the boss.
Yeah, right. You know what the chain of command is, don't you? It's the chain I go and get and beat you with till you figure out who's in fucking command. Yeah. Methed up alligators. You're not wrong, dude. Facts detected again. That is definitely first album scabies. You gotta stop, dude.
The tool used belonged to his father, but it is not clear if he had been trained to use it. Holmes said that the family is lucky that the teen acted so quickly and effectively, as things could have turned out much worse. Of course, if there was no gun in the house to begin with, no amount of quick thinking could have helped those little boys.
Yeah, things could have turned out much worse. I could have shot him 3 times.
In 2015, a 13-year-old boy from Ladson, South Carolina, found himself in a life-threatening situation when 2 men attempted to break into his home.
Wait a second. Hold on. This whole methed up gator idea is getting some feet on it. Listen, I can get in touch with Bigfoot Anon and Mogollon Monster, and I guarantee you we could get days of alligator footage. The question is, how do we legally get the gator methed up?
Well, first we'd have to illegally purchase some methamphetamines.
That's the big wait. It is Florida. Hold on. It is Florida. If we just wait patiently, I'm sure one of them will eat them. That
in the water.
Make it nutty.
Have you ever seen some of the people that came out of Florida?
Dude, I'm in Georgia. Every time there's a fucking hurricane, we get a weirdo flood around this motherfucker. Are you joking? I mean, I woke up. I live in the middle of fucking nowhere. I woke up one morning and some dude from Florida was stealing the goddamn hubcaps out of the middle of the goddamn yard. And I was like, dude, okay. I mean, you walked here to steal my hubcaps? What the fuck, dude?
You know where I'm from, don't you?
Yeah, and I don't care. Fucking weird motherfuckers. That bolsters my case. That does not discredit it at all.
I know. Actually, I'm from Georgia, but I lived in Florida for quite a while. I got the tan.
You probably got some of that Florida man on you.
I definitely do. I definitely wear leopard print and snakeskin boots and no shirt and go riding around on my airboat and tell you what's going on.
Dude, that is a way better show than you do on Friday nights.
Yeah.
The teen, who was alone at the time, quickly realized something was amiss when he saw a vehicle pull up behind the house. He then saw a man trying to break into his home and immediately grabbed his mother's pistol to defend himself. According to the police report, the boy exchanged gunfire with Lamar Brown, 31, and Ira Bennett, 28, who were allegedly attempting to break into the home. The boy, whose identity has been withheld because of his age, fatally shot Brown. Bennett fled the scene with Brown in a car, and witnesses later identified him as the driver. When the vehicle arrived at the medical center to the emergency room, but he could not survive multiple gunshot wounds, as confirmed by the Charleston County Chief Deputy Coroner.
Accurate,
Bennett,
too.
who has a history of criminal activities, including burglary and narcotics charges, was later arrested and charged with first-degree burglary and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime.
Wait. Okay, so all we have to do is arrange for a mentally deficient patient to fall into a canal on top of a hungry alligator who will no longer be hungry after eating the patient.
Messed up gator.
No, this still that still sounds illegal, man. Like, I mean, is it illegal to hope for such an event? Did it get filmed? I mean, I'm a YouTuber. Is that bad? I'm just.
I'd be standing there with a camera going, what?
No, dude. I'm seriously going to get in touch with Bigfoot Anon and see if we can shake this together. He's already done 3 movies. Maybe he can help me help somehow. And oh, we'll get one of those little bitty chameleon lizards that run around. What are they called? Anoles? And we'll outfit that fucker to look like an alligator instead of an actual alligator. Use it in the miniature, like a Lego village or something. It'd be great. Oh, I love bad movies.
According to the Charleston County Sheriff's Office, a judge denied him bond. The mother of the brave 13-year-old hero later revealed that she keeps a pistol at home for protection, though she had never instructed her son how to use it. She clarified that she advises her children to call 911 if they find themselves in danger, but also to take matters into their own hands if necessary. After all, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Use that gun. Call of Duty.
Do what?
Boy, how'd you learn to use that gun? Call of Duty.
I mean, like, it teaches you all the parts, man. No, I'm not doing that. We're just gonna sit and talk over. That's full of fucking music. I never could figure out whether or not any of that stuff was copyrighted. I could never find any credits or anything to any of it. So either he put it up and let the copyrights fly, or I don't know. There's a lot of music in this video. Damn. Okay, car chases. Is there a point where chasing criminals is beneficial for the public?
No.
So if you find the Lord of War himself, when you pull him over because he didn't use a blinker and he decides to run, do you chase?
I have no problem with the cops doing their job, especially taking criminals off the streets. But if a guy's going to run from you and you can't catch him or call ahead and have somebody waiting on him, you are endangering the public.
Exactly. My issue with car chases is that nowadays, in most circumstances, most cities have access to a helicopter, or God forbid, bigger cities pull up satellite feeds on the freaking regular to follow motherfuckers. So
yeah, just get an eye in the sky and let that joker run his gas out.
Beyond that, take the plate down. Sure, people change plates and there's all kinds of mistakes, but you have a choice between possibly doing multiple millions of dollars worth of damage to police equipment and public services in various forms, whether you're damaging intersections, hitting freaking light poles, lights, the water main, fire hydrants, whatever, versus taking down the license plate and following the car back to where they go, because it's going to be registered to somebody. And even if it's not registered to the people involved, they can usually tell you where that car went. Oh, I sold it to some folks from over here. Hold on, I got the bill of sale around here somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I think car chases are probably the last bastion of cowboyism.
Yeah, I think it might have something to do with the personality types of police. I think the only reason car chases are a thing nowadays is twofold. One, like Izzy said, don't bother. Like Izzy said, they're very entertaining and they make a lot of money for people who get access to those footages. And so there is, and also the departments that are involved in these chases do a competitive run between other departments.
Maybe very well so. There's a lot of things cops do that I don't agree with, but they are the cops. So,
well, any government arm is going to have horrible decision making, because all decision making is based around using up the budget so that you get more budget next year, and PR.
Yep, that fat boy ain't making it nowhere.
Yeah.
He's running, holding his pants up. Did you see that?
Yeah, well, that's why I never really complained about the folks running around with their pants down around their knees. It makes them really easy to push over.
Yep.
You slap the shit out of them and jog 20 feet away.
Grapplers, I like that.
Running at you. Yeah, no, there's all kinds of stuff. The fact is that cops and the people that are funding the cops would rather spend money on militarizing the police to be able to put you down when you get rowdy, rather than trying to stop criminals. They have
I got a
become
question.
more.
You know how in parking garages and some of the upper echelon parking garages, they've got the little pole that comes up out of the ground that'll stop you. Like if you don't pay. How come they don't install those in cities and in the highways? And that way, if somebody runs from the cops, they can just call up to the next block and have them put up a couple poles and Bob's your uncle.
All right. I've got in a future where such a thing has been installed in every major city on every major intersection, right? Somebody hacks the system and you get $500,000 in damage in 12 seconds and the entire city is locked down and you have no control over it.
Got a point. Okay. Makes sense.
Although I don't see the reason why it wouldn't be possible to set something like that up at a few critical intersections and have it hand manipulated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's ways to do that.
Do it. But
everything ain't got to run on computers, damn it.
Tens of billions of dollars. Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, they've been operating jail cell doors with hand-operated cranks for a century now.
Dude, have you ever been to the old genealogy museum down here off the square?
No.
Next time you come to Georgia, go in there and go look at the jail cells upstairs. Whoever designed the doors on that damn thing was a freaking genius, dude. Yeah. It uses a linkage mechanism where you move a little handle next to the door before you go in, and it opens the door before you get through the door. So like you pull the handle and it opens the cell door over there. You pull another handle and it opens the passway here. And you pull the third handle and it opens one in front of you. Then you open this door, walk the guy in, and when you shut it, that motherfucker locks. When you shut the next one, that one locks. And when you put the guy in and shut the door, that one locks. And when you come back out, you have to there's a release that will release all the doors. Right. But that was installed in the 50s and it's like permanently pulled down. So while it will mechanism, it doesn't ever permanently lock anymore.
Well, I was in that jailhouse that was up on the hill there in Georgia where we wrecked the Studebaker. I think they tore it down now. I was in that joker, and that thing's like a dungeon.
Yeah. A few creepy spots up there. I'm sorry. We have enough helicopters. We have enough shit flying around. And so much carnage and damage is done by the police in pursuit of people who ran a stop sign, who didn't turn on a blinker. Now, granted, I will give it to you that these individuals probably have done other crimes, may very well be carrying firearms and stuff. My point is, until they start spraying them bitches out the car, that car is a much more dangerous weapon than that firearm is.
I agree.
They are more likely to start spraying that shit out the car with a dozen cops chasing them.
I agree.
You let them go pick them up when they get where they're going. You try to use a pit maneuver because you're cool.
Yeah.
And you'll be the
next
next
use pit maneuvers at all because that's unpredictable. That
it is very
spin out and you have no idea where it's going to go.
Nope. It might flip over with a pregnant woman in it.
Right. Thank you, Andy Jack.
Yeah, he's absolutely boss mod. I'll be honest with you. I can't really. I think I recruited him while I was drunk. I can't really remember where I found him, but I found him in some chat somewhere throwing links like an old ninja master, like shurikens or something. I was like, dude, you want a job? I got a job for you. You come over here, throw all the links you want. You know, I have one exception when I'm guest spotting on other people's channels. If I don't think they can handle the links that typically fly in my chat, I'll kind of pull the strings on some of the mods, try to restrain them a little. Because like Ryan, when I was on Ryan's, we had like 8 mods in my chat throwing links, and I was like, calm down, fellers. Ryan was just over there staring at his StreamYard, like, what the hell just happened? It was like link. It's like, welcome to my hell. I love it.
Well, I definitely know how police work. I've been on the receiving end of it a few times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, and a lot of people give me smack for this shit. I talk trash, I really do. I sit around and I think of stupid bullshit to say that would sound so fucking cool in certain circumstances, and I patiently wait for those circumstances to pop up, and I drop those freaking lines. It might be from an old 70s movie, an old 50s movie, an old 80s movie. You never know.
I built this cruise missile to stop these kids from playing ZZ Top.
There you go. Like, that's the kind of thing we're getting here. Like this dude here. If that cop hadn't have chased him and he checked out, ran around the corner, he would be much less likely to spray his car all over this intersection up here, which is the most likely outcome of running from the cops, is to kill yourself and others in a spectacular crash.
Let's hear it, Dazlaw. What's your idea?
Is this anything to do with methed up Gator? Because if it's not, I'm not sure I want to hear it.
Gator.
This week on Methed Up Gator, Bigfoot Anon is going out into the woods today to see if he can find the hungry gator he thought he saw yesterday. He's taking his slightly deranged cousin who's on all kinds of ADD medications.
Down. I love it.
I couldn't do it, dude. I couldn't do it no more. Oh, yeah, more cops die in traffic accidents than in virtually any other way. That's right. The only other thing is like occasional overdoses. But even that's not very numerical.
In oncoming traffic.
And there he goes. And that is how car chases end, typically. Although you got to give this man some credit. He kept going after rolling that ditch. That's a hell of a recovery from a rollover, bro. Yeah. I'm going to have to give that one an 8 out of 10.
That bitch hit a Mario Kart.
I kind of want to see that again.
He's still hitting it.
Oh, bother. I got to see that again, dude. That was rough. That's hardcore. See? Crash. Bam. Car not running no more. Because 7 people are now dead. Right? And we got $30,000 worth of damage between this vehicle and the shit that they hit. We met at the methed up alligator. I didn't recruit you. It was on a work release. Just keep signing the papers. All right, walk it off. Walk it off. Walk it off. Walk it out. Walk it out. Dude, that's balls deep badass.
He went over twice.
Twice, dude. How hardcore you got to be, dude? Is this not a Toyota commercial? What he drives?
Guessing he's wearing his seatbelt's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Well, I bet he was one of those tuners with like the 4-5-point harness. That shit ain't even shaky. He was like, blah, blah, blah.
He's laying on the hood of his truck. The cop says, "You realize why I didn't stop you?" No shit.
6 out of 10. He wasn't going that fast.
He's going that fast now because his wheel's going like this.
Damn, dude, you're hard to fucking impress. What the hell has he got to do, dude? I mean, he caught air. All right, 6 out of 10 then. I'm going to stand by my 8 out of 10 there.
He's in that crunched up roof.
I thought the recovery was immaculate.
He gets a solid 8 on mine. Boop.
Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we put sirens on the criminals' cars? That way, everybody just get out of the way whenever they're coming through.
I like it.
Make it a law. Criminals will follow laws, right? Right.
You're right.
Right. Like, I don't understand how this lawmaking system works once you introduce the concept of a criminal. It doesn't work.
Bad boys.
What you gonna do? Car spotting as a hobby. Yeah, that's one of my favorite games when we're doing any type of road trip, and we used to do this with the kids all the time. Is they would spot cars and ask me what they were, like old cars specifically, like parked on the side of the road. Oh, that's a 1978 Studebaker or whatever. You know, it's a 32 fucking Plymouth or whatever it is. I don't know.
Well, there's a helicopter.
RUNNOFT, bro. Run off. All right. That was a Ram, not a Toyota. In that case, all they had to do was hook up to the back end of it and blow the transmission, getting towed.
I think we should give all police cars bazookas. When they go on a high-speed chase, somebody can lean out window and go. Problem solved.
That was your third one. No. Don't give them ideas, man. I kind of want them to go back to the funny hats and sticks, personally.
Yes.
I like the Andy Griffith method. Let's give Barney one bullet. You know Barney Fife was an expert marksman?
Really?
Yeah. No, apparently before he became a deputy, he was some kind of highfalutin. The issue is not with the bullet. The issue is with the authority. Go back and watch the show. Anytime he lands in a position of authority over anyone else, he completely freaks out, shoots himself in the foot with it, with whatever it is. It doesn't have to be the gun. Once he puts that bullet in that gun, it always goes off because it's hammer and nail syndrome.
Huh. How about that for a commentary?
Right? I watched a lot of Andy Griffith as a kid, dude. Like, we could go deep on. So, oh my God, did you see the giant fly attacking Memphis? Yeah. Dear God. The grappler. There's a couple of net guns that have been designed. Most of them are really ungainly and hard to fit into a car. Hey, bud, how much of your OBS? How much of your OBS you got up and running over there?
Nothing right now. Why?
I could have swore I heard you trigger your intro tune earlier.
Oh, you did. I was looking to see if your link worked.
Oh. Oh yeah, I guess it would do that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because it goes to the page
right.
and it started before I could shut it off.
That's fine.
It was a quick blurb.
It was a good one. I liked it. Short 2.5. Let's see. I shared a video via PM on Discord with a mandatory carry. A short 2.5 minute video of Mesa police deploying a grappler arm with the cargo straps. Right. All right. So that grappler thing that you're talking about also comes in a car mounted version that vaguely resembles a front bumper, like one of those cop brush guards. And when you deploy it, it turns 4 different little pegs towards the car.
That guy straight up tackled him.
Yeah. At least he didn't turn the Bork Nom Nom on him. I tell you what, I don't want no part of no Bork Nom Nom. Fuck that shit. Nice puppy. Because, you know, dogs be acting like their owners. And if the owner's asshole, that dog's a real asshole, son. Like, chew your face off and enjoy it and then tell his friends about how cool it was later.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that trend that was going around, like, feeling cute, and it was a bunch of cops. It was like, feeling cute might have to arrest you later.
Yeah.
Feeling cute might have to kick in your door later.
Yeah. Look at this thing.
Yeah, this is not exactly a high-speed chase.
This is not exactly a maneuverable truck.
It's a Rivian. Dude, that is a $200,000 truck.
I know, but it just ran over a light pole because he couldn't turn.
Yeah. Well, okay, but it ran over a light pole. It probably should still be running, in my opinion. I'm kind of pissed off at Rivian at the moment. I feel like he should have got away. $200,000 there.
6 wheels. Actually, those are dualies in the back, ain't they?
Oh, they're dual dualies. Yes, sir. Those Rivians and they're fucking
10 wheels.
Yeah, right. They're badass, dude. You got 1 minute left. What you want to tell the folks? Here, I'll give you the big screen.
This week on Methed Up Gator.
This week on Methed Up Gator, we find little JoJo with one leg left. We have no chance of escaping from the front yard because 3 of the gators have gotten into our personal stash.
I like it. You guys come visit me over on Untethered Live on YouTube and on Rumble and on Spotify and iTunes and all the other places.
This cracker's everywhere. He's all over the place. But
I'm working.
I appreciate y'all coming by and doing that whole thing that we do. And we looked at some stuff and we found some things and we saw some things. And I'm gonna throw the link over here because I might put on some gaming or something after. Let's see. Skadoosh. Put it on this side. Would you please function properly and stop messing up? Bam. All right. So we'll be backstage for about another hour and I'm going to jerk off and go to bed, I guess. I don't know. So you have a lovely evening, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate it. We're not doing that one. We got to do the other one. Which one is it? This one.
Sorry. Good news, though. We're going to have to move the party somewhere a little bit more private, but you're all invited. Lorenzo will give you the details. Yeah!
Just getting started. I know that you want it, baby. Just get on it, ready to go. We know how to party. Pull out the Bacardi, feel it in my body. Put on a song. Yeah, let's go. Nah, we ain't never gonna slow down. All the girls looking hot like a hoe down. Everybody going off in my hometown, ready for a showdown. Keep it on the low now. We about to pop off like a bottle. Everybody knows that we're going full throttle. Drinking alcohol, yeah, straight from the nozzle. End of the night.